Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Mike from Southern California again, and you're on the mic. Today it's going to be a bit of a lighter episode here, as again today's Thanksgiving holiday. Not going to talk about anything too serious. I know we've been talking a lot of serious stuff recently, so and it's just going to be a slightly lighter. Some quick little, some quick little tidbits here and there, and then of course we will have a this day in history segment. What's happened on this date, November 28th, um, and then the usual spiel, and then I'll be done. So let's get to it. Some bits and pieces here. Um, Earlier today I did so if you go on YouTube and you look up the Variants channel, he did so Vic's Hollywood Comic Con panel is up, and if you guys want to go check it out, um, I watched it earlier. It was a good panel. Nothing too serious. Talking mostly about his career, and you know, didn't say anything about the case or anything, which you would expect him not to. Um, So it was a pretty good panel, pretty good lighthearted panel. Um, you did have a good crowd there. It wasn't like packed, but it was still a very good crowd and very good interactions between him and the fans who were there. Um, so with that, let's see some other. And as you all know, today's Thanksgiving. Um, yeah, so today's Thanksgiving. You know, So let's see. So first off, what is Thanksgiving? Well, Thanksgiving, as tradition stands, is when we all get around together and have a good hearty turkey dinner. Nowadays our traditions include getting up in the morning, watching the watching depending upon where you're at in the country, of course, getting up watching the Macy's Day Thanksgiving parade, and then watching some football, and then somewhere in between all that, of course, getting a good old fashioned turkey dinner with all the helpings of stuffing, mashed potatoes, yams, all that good stuff into a big meal, gorge fest. But what was the first Thanksgiving all about? How did this tradition begin in the first place? Well, as many of you know, in the late 17th century, um, pilgrims seeking religious freedom had left England, you know, seeking to follow Christ in their own manner instead of just being under the Church of England, had decided to leave England and embark west here to the States. They came upon and landed upon Plymouth Rock and Plymouth, Massachusetts, and for the first few months really had some very difficult times. They endured a lot of hardships as battling the elements, getting adjusted to the climate of the new country. But in that time they'd also befriended the natives of the time, the Wam Wamparong, I believe is now granted I saw the name briefly, but I didn't really. But they basically befriended the natives of the area, and so around this time in around this time in 1692, to celebrate a harvest, everybody got together and had a feast together, which became Thanksgiving. And the reason it's called Thanksgiving was because the pilgrims were thankful for those who had survived and made it through the harsh conditions of you know of the region for that first year or so. Um, well, that's kind of what the Thanksgiving is generally about. It's about about being it's about being thankful for for what we have. Whether it's thankful for your family, being thankful for your friends, being thankful for the whatever communities you're involved with, being thankful for that you're at least in a safe and a safe place and good place in your life. You know, being thankful for the people that are around you. There's many things for people to be thankful for. You know, and there have been a number of good, of course, Thanksgiving specials that come out over the years. Like it's a great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. You know, actually, that might be more of a Halloween one. Actually, now that I think about it, but um, yeah, I think Charlie Brown did have a Thanksgiving special. Um, and as we, of course, we get right into the Christmas shopping season as Christmas is a little less than a month away now. You know, um, 27 days to be exact. So, and of course, everybody's going to be, going nuts tomorrow in the retail stores because it's Black Friday. Everybody wants to get the best deals possible, get the best Christmas gifts possible. People, let's remember tomorrow also to be kind to each other. I know we all want to get the best gifts we can for our families and friends, but while we're doing that, let's remember to be kind to each other, not kill each other in the process. Okay. Let's not let's not let our desire to have best things possible in our lives devolve us into beast. Okay, let's be kind to each other and just you know remember we're all humans here. We all have to live together. So in a society. Okay, so with all that being said, now I'm going to get to um, the next segment here, the This Day in History segment. So, on this day in 1939, DC Comics released, put on the newsstand, put on the newsstands, Double Action Comics number 2. Even though it's marked as number 2, it was really only the only edition of Double Action Comics that was actually released. This would prove to be a one off edition that was primarily a reprint edition, just reprinting a bunch of stories from a bunch of the different titles at the time. I think they were at the time under the DC label, Detective Comics label, because you know, um, so under the Detective Comics label, on this day in 1939 was released Double Action Comics. It won off. It was Double Action Comics Volume 2, or number issue number. Well, it's marked as number 2, even though technically it was the only edition um, published. So let's get going to the next thing. We jump ahead to 1989 in the world of professional wrestling as Tommy Young, a longtime referee with Jim Crockett Promotions, suffers a career-ending back and neck suffers career-ending back and neck injuries in Atlanta, Georgia, while refereeing a match between Tommy Rich and Mike Rotunda. Tommy Young was of course, a longtime referee with Jim Crockett Promotions. Basically, from what I understand, from I think the late '70s through the '80s, at least, during a match between Rich and suffered injuries that would basically end his refereeing career. Now, Jim Crockett Promotions, as y'all, some of you that may not know this, Jim Crockett Promotions was kind of the forerunner to WCW. They were under the NWA brand before WCW broke off from NWA and became their own company. But at this point in time, they were still Jim Crockett Promotions under the NWA banner. Oh, moving ahead, one more year, 1990. On this date in 1990, the 1987 version of the DuckTales cartoon would end its first run syndication run. As many DuckTales was a Disney cartoon that was produced starting in 1987, ran on syndication with, of course, the late Alan Young providing the voice of Scrooge McDuck in which his grandnephews Huey, Louie, and Dewey came to live with him, and they'd often go on many adventures together, measured treasure hunting adventures. You'd have, of course, Scrooge McDuck's pilot, Launchpad McQuaid, kind of the goofy, crash-prone pilot. Of course, oftentimes on the treasure hunting adventures, of course, Scrooge McDuck's main rival was Flintheart Glonggold. Later in the series, of course, they introduced a superhero, Gizmo Duck, who was, and when Gyro had invented the Gizmo Duck suit, he put in as a password basically a phrase that nobody thought anybody actually used, but somebody actually used. Blatherin' blatherskites. So, on this date in 1990, the 1987 version of the DuckTales cartoon ended its first run syndication run. So, and with that, we finally come to the last of the little notations here. Got a couple from 2014 in anime manga. First off, on this date in 2014, a couple things happened here. Okay. First off, on this date in 2014, Alcana, For Rhythm Across the Blue, which was a Japanese adult visual novel developed by Sprite, was released for Windows on this date. Alcana, Rhythm Across the Blue, was released on this date for Windows in 2014. Also in 2014, the was 24 on this date in 2014 as well was the manga release of Hibike Euphonium. The manga release of Hibike Euphonium was released on this date. So that pretty much takes care of a lot of the. That pretty much takes care of the pretty much takes care of all the news items for today. So now with all that being done, I will finish up by saying you can check the links below. My Twitter handle will be down there. If you want to contact me directly, you can try to DM me, or you can tweet me on my or you can tweet me on my you can always respond to my tweets or comment on my videos. I usually will reply back to you. Um, also, also, um, as you guys know, I'm also promoting a bunch of different dub companies. You remember, Funimation's not the only game in town. You check out the other dub companies to check out what other works have been dubbed out there that maybe you might like as well. And if you like the work of those voice actors, maybe contact your local cons to get them invited to the cons as well. I'm also promoting the GoFundMe's, and we still have a couple of days left on Tug's Indiegogo. From what I understand, he will be he'll be finally shutting that down at the end of this week here. So on Saturday, I think will be the last day for that. So always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. Never feel pressure to donate. Sure that they appreciate it if you do, but don't put yourselves out if because they don't want to see that either. They don't want to see you guys put yourselves out if that's what's going to happen. If you are able to, and it's on your heart to do so, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the cause by sharing the link. You never know. Maybe there's somebody in your circle of friends that might say, you know something, I want to help out too. I'm going to help out too. So, maybe I'll help out here too. You never know. I was watching Nick's stream last night, and I think the GoFundMe is up over 264,000 already for Vic's case. So, we're getting up there and stuff like that. So, um, and finally, if you guys like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bells for updates. Um, I do videos just about every day. I also have of course, the voice actor previews that premiere on Friday. And I hope you guys will catch those. You'll learn more about different voice actors. I do the anime convention preview on Tuesday and premiere that on Tuesday evening usually. So I hope you guys will. So I hope you guys will. You guys will check the videos out. And with that being said, I'll end it here, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow. Either be chatting with you on the next episode of the voice actor VA profile, Voices Big and Small. This week I'll be, of course, doing John Bergmeyer of Funimation. But if I don't see you on there, hopefully you'll see me on tomorrow's daily video of On the Mic segment. So until then, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.